Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pig Pen, the Pig Den, the place where we're going to battle it out for supremacy over the other pigs. Once and for all, who makes the mess of the mud? Is it Piglet or is it Puggo? My wife. Thanks for joining me on this momentous occasion.
You're welcome.
So today we are going to be doing the second round review of the evolution challenge. So where we left off was Rove.
Hi, Dave and Kim. Thank you for putting on this challenge. My goal is to have a successful career working in entertainment, so the opportunity to practice on projects like this is greatly appreciated.
Wait. You gotta unplug that. It's humming the mics.
Sorry.
Sorry, the laptop was charging over there. So whenever that happens, it interferes with the mics.
My bad. Thank you for putting on this challenge. Yes. Okay. Best wishes and good luck to everyone doing the challenge. So they did a cat god 3-step evolution. Look at that.
All right, I'm just going to wait and see. Everything's good? Okay, they said all good now. All right. Sorry, everybody. So here is the 3-part. You got the Sphinx Cat, mummified cat with the ankh hanging from his neck.
That's what that's called?
I think so. You know, I haven't brushed up on my mummies alive
Okay.
lately, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and then the last one is the Sphinx, the totality of the transformation there with the wings and the triumphant tail and is that like armor on the wrists and the ankles, or is that fur?
It looks like fur to me, but I'm not sure.
Kind of looks like armor a little bit, at least like the way it's like wrapped around.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the Sphinx Cat.
I do too.
That's so cool. I mean, I think my favorite of all these is the transition from the Sphinx Cat to the mummy cat. I just like the idea of a mummy cat and realizing I've never seen that before. Just like a mummified monster cat with white eyes. That's pretty cool. Oh, I also like that you took the cane from the first one and turned it into the tail.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is like how the tail evolved.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing I would say about this is that it's not totally clear that, like, theming wise, it's clear that the last one is the final evolution of, you know, like an Egyptian theme, like cat god, but nothing about the last one says cat god to me. Even though I know that it's based off of like the Sphinx and all that, it doesn't feel cat god to me. It feels more
bird
like
god, kind of, right?
Yeah, like some kind of chimera thing or something like that.
Bird, maybe bottom of a cat.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel cat to me. That's the only thing that I would address, like finding some way to make it more cat-like in the last transformation, because in that one, the kind of like cane thing goes away, and I think like the most you get with that one is kind of like the hands, the paws, and then the thing around the wrists. That's the commonality.
Even say, like, even from the first to the second, it loses that little detail of even having like the ears pierced.
Right.
Because like the tail is the same tail, but it evolves. It's like it's different, right? But it's like just even that little detail, I think, makes it very distinctly the same. You know?
Yeah. And I really think like that's it. That's like, because, you know, and that's just going off of the judging of the challenge itself as part of the criteria for it. But otherwise, you did a good job. Good execution. I like the presentation. Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Good idea, too.
The next one up is Daniel Bruno Art. It says, finally done with the final. Very fun and challenging challenge. Here's Diz in all of his forms. Thanks to the Piggy Overlords for hosting. Any critique, feedback would be hugely appreciated. Cool.
Proto-Diz. So the base evolution?
Base evolution is like a half body with some...
kind of like dread type hair
Yeah.
with like
It's got some like
cords.
wire intestines or something.
I like it.
Cool. And then the second evolution is a big old cocoon.
A larval evolution.
It looks a lot like a metapod
It's
from
really cool.
Pokemon. It's cool.
I like that it's gold too, that it like makes something that's like an organic shape feel more mechanical or robotic or something, right?
Yeah, I like the materials on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is it coming free of the cocoon. This is Determinus, Dis Determinus. And all of the cords below it turn into spikes.
I like that it mimics a bug in a lot of senses because it does come out of a larva,
Yeah,
which is cool. Which I feel like you could have pushed that from the first stage.
true.
Because the second to the third is such a good transition. Like, it's this larval thing. You get that there's cords and like wires and things going into it, and has light, so it's like some sort of like mechanical thing. And then, but the first one is like a very cool design. I just don't think that's necessarily like the transition into. I would have done like what's before a larval stage.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
I would have done just, it's like you have to think of, like if you're going to do, the only reason that this comes up, I guess, for me, is because you did such a literal cocoon that I imagine that it would be some kind of like weird, mutated, like caterpillar robotic type thing that had similar aesthetic to what you have here, but maybe like a weird face or something like that
Before it
goes
becomes
into
like
that.
beautiful, because the last
Right.
one is really pretty. It looks polished. It looks like decorative. It's tough looking.
Right.
So like it has to go through that metamorphosis, right?
Yeah, like I think of like a cocoon as, the caterpillar going in and becoming like some beautiful, crazy, like striking image. And that's
And caterpillars are
like you
yuck.
you do have that because the machine in the first one is like destroyed basically. And then that last part is the the totality of it that's all maxed out. And the looks like the leveled up version of that one.
It's just because the last one to me was reminiscent of like those look like either like stingers or like wings of some sort, So I was just tying it all together. That's just how I interpreted it. But it's really cool. I like your colors.
Yeah, execution wise, just as a critique that's aside from the challenge itself, I think that the way that you worked this one up, the cocoon stage shot, feels very 3D. And I think if you're trying, it depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to sell it as a painting first, then I would do more to push the painted side of it. Because right now it reads very much like base kind of 3D render. And the other ones do too, but it's like feeling very like PlayStation 1-ish. And I think that you could push it a little bit more if the goal is to create a piece of concept art that feels like it was done by hand. And that's not always the case. That's not always something you are trying to accomplish. If that is the case, though, then I would just push it a little bit further in that painted direction and spend a bit more time making it look less clean and without atmosphere, like that sort of feel. But yeah, really
it's
cool.
really cool.
Cool idea.
And we haven't seen anything like that yet either. So next one is from Chips. Hi, this is my submission for this month's evolution challenge. Sadly, I didn't get to finish the last evolution since a freaking lightning struck the power lines. I hope you're okay.
Wow.
The power went out for a day, and the painting I'm doing didn't save. I live in the Philippines. The weather can get wild during the rainy season. But I had fun doing this challenge either way. I didn't really know what to make, so this was what came out. A psychotic stuffed rabbit that turns into a golden stuffed psychotic rabbit. I don't know. Maybe that's why lightning stopped me from finishing this. But I really like how it turned out and wanted to show you guys even though it's unfinished. But I'll be finishing at my own time. Thank you for hosting this challenge. It pushed me to paint a lot more and learned a lot. Hoping to do better in the next one. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't go into this with some like idea that made a whole lot of sense to you. You were just like, I'm just gonna do something weird. Like, I think it's still cool. Like, your execution's still nice. Like, I like the drawings. Like, I think you did a good job actually executing the thing. And I really like where you were going with the last one. That it's like puking out gold and it's
Yeah, it's like
covered
stuffed
in
with
gold.
gold, which is such a funny idea because it's like looks like it's supposed to be soft, and then it like turns into this molten gold
Yeah.
once you stab it in the heart.
I just like how the concept is all over the place.
It's like it's coming out of its ears, it's coming out of its hands, out of its hoodie, everything.
Yeah, I like the traditional feel that you have in this. I think you did a good job with that. It feels very much like, I don't know, like you did on paper. I don't know if you did do a chunk of it on paper, but the way you're rendering the
colors
the
on like
rabbit
the
here.
ears.
Yeah, like so much of it, the texture of it, it's reading nice. It feels like that. You know, there's like a certain kind of warmth to like traditional stuff that I like, the texture to it. And this has that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like your colors. They're weird.
I was thinking that too, just like the actual colors like on the bunny's face. Like I see yellows and pinks and
Yeah,
grays and stuff.
you got a lot of like green, blue, yellows, reds, pinks, purples. Like you went all over the place. And you even got like a bright, like kind of teal cyan color coming in from the side. Yeah, really bold choices there. I like that a lot.
I also like that the third one is like it's like creepy, but not in the same way that the first one is creepy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
cool.
creepy in its own gross way, but it's still like, lighthearted. I really like it. I mean, I get that you were just thinking that God shut the power off so that you couldn't finish this bunny, but I still think it's cool.
Yeah.
So
If you end up posting it,
hey,
eventually that'd be cool.
you did it.
Yeah.
You themed it out. I could totally read that was what it was, even if it didn't make sense. All right. The next one is from The Real Jangus. Say, hey, everyone. This is my first monthly challenge, and I'm trying to participate more around here. Welcome. I have been lurking around for a while now, but I think I am really missing that sense of community with my recent transition to freelance work. We all know the feeling. I decided to flesh out a creature I have been working on for a tabletop RPG that I've been running. This is my depiction of an elder lich that goes through an evolution cycle every 10 years. He controls a cult that helps him gather organic material needed to keep him alive. He puts himself in a stasis, allowing the gathered materials time to become one with him in his most vulnerable form. Once enough has been absorbed, he is able to hatch out of this stasis with more of a humanoid form, taking control of his cult and being able to continue his evil shenanigans. Over time, he begins to decay physically, mentally, mutating into a bit of a monstrosity until his plans are completed and he is able to start the process anew. Cool concept.
I like it. I like that it's not just a linear evolution, it's a cycle.
Cyclical, yeah. This is a really cool one.
It's really cool.
I'm gonna say a lot of positive things about this, but I just want to start out by saying that I have hardly any negative things to say about this or critiques. I think it's really cool.
Okay, I have one negative thing to say.
What's that?
I don't like the recycle sign in the background. Because it's so, like, it really is so cool. It's such a good idea.
That is
And I was,
true.
like, zooming in, and I was like, oh, I love that top one. I love, like, all the little, like, noise and texture and all the little lines and doodly stuff that's all over it. It looks so cool. And I don't even really know exactly what I'm looking at. Like, I kind of see an eye, and I think I see, like, a mouth. But I just love it. I love the colors. I love, like, kind of trying to figure out what I'm looking at. And I like the dude who's, like, very high posture, and he has, like, the two hands, and he looks very, like, well put together,
Yeah.
And then the, like, decaying one.
No,
It's like they're all really, really strong. I just don't like that recycling sign in the background.
Yeah, I totally get that. You're right. That takes away from the actual illustration. I was just looking at it more of the just display. But you're right. The circle sells that it's a cycle. You don't need to have there be arrows. The arrows are a weird graphic thing that clashes with the style that you already have
And
there.
the style's so pretty.
Right. It's a cool look. Like I really like the traditional feel again. I like the bleed of colors. It feels like you did watercolor. I like the ink that you have going on. It's very selective in what you detailed. And yeah, just like I really like your base character. Your base character looks awesome. I love the forearms and like the hint of some grossness beneath the robes. Like I love that. The face is like nice and creepy. It's not over the top. You didn't go super extreme into like a wicked face. And then the one where he's just like mutating and becoming less of a humanoid, like losing control. I love that. And then the final one is just, you can't even recognize him anymore. He's just this thing in a globe.
But you get that they all go together.
Yeah,
They
and I
feel
can,
very cohesive.
like, just by looking at the design that you put together and the style, I would really love to see what your world looks like. I would love to see like what the cult members look like and
what
how
kind
they
of stuff they need to gather for. Like,
Yeah,
what does this thing,
What does
this
it eat?
entity need? Yeah.
like how does it take in sustenance? Like how does that work? I think like the best thing about doing something that's based around some story is that the illustration can make you ask questions. And I think that this does that. It makes me curious about what this character's world is like and everything surrounding this, and who goes and what do the heroes look like in this kind of thing. What did because this guy doesn't look like I'm playing a straight up D&D game. It feels like a different world. You have some sci-fi stuff in there. It feels different.
It's
I
really
like it a
cool.
lot.
Good job.
Yeah.
Also, like what a submission for your first challenge. Next one is from Dan Backslide. Also, they were like, roast masters coming because I said I didn't like cycle slide. So sorry to roast your first ever submission. Dan Backslide says, "Hey everyone, this is also my first monthly art challenge, and really my first time participating in any online art community. As someone who's had to prioritize everything else but his passion for art over the last 5 years or so, I'm happy to say that this challenge pushed me to work on art more than I ever have. I felt myself learning a ton, but there's still much more to learn. So I'm excited for the new challenges in the future. Didn't get to finish, but posted what I could. About the piece. Dubbed the Hummingbird, these creatures dwell within the eye wall of storms that change and mutate everything in their path, blending ecosystems from other dimensions into ours. These sentinels of the storms are born to patrol storms and search for likely candidates to produce more sprites, in quotes, like themselves, or perhaps to find the next elf. Born from the remains of a bloated, mutated corpse, the body is taken and repurposed into a recycler, which is to the left, a creature that sucks up any and all waste from the storms. Once it reaches a certain weight, its engorged body is refitted with new armor pieces to accommodate its girth. You're using some really good description words.
Accommodate its girth.
Its engorged body and its girth.
Its engorged girth.
And to have it grow into muscle. In this form, it builds its strength through its psychic abilities as the workhorse for a mysterious invading force, lifting vehicles, supply crates, etc. Once it reaches a certain age, it undergoes another refitting of armor and surgery to be produced into the last form, designed primarily for combat. Cool. Okay, well, I like the first one a lot.
Can you believe the
that
roast
idea.
master got through that? That's, that deserves a round of applause.
What do you mean?
Roast master usually can't survive backstories, but that was solid. It's a good backstory, by the way. I think that's a cool concept. Like, especially for your first entry in something like this and being a part of online community. That's a solid description that I think serves your concept very well.
That's why I didn't say anything.
No, I know. I'm roasting the roast master.
Yeah, the first one is really cool how it has like the nose type thing to like suck up all the debris that it needs. That's cool. And I like the idea that it's like in a storm the eye of a storm wall. Well, eye wall of storm. What did I read? How did I read it? These creatures dwell within the eye wall of storms. Okay.
Yeah. I get it. So it's like this space between, I mean, in this logic, it's like the space between kind of planes or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like the idea that it's something that kind of is feeding like that.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's funny that you call that hummingbird, where it reads more like everything you said reads more mosquito to me.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like even like the like girth and like whatever and like all that stuff like growing and sucking
it
things up.
becomes engorged.
Yeah,
with like blood and.
Yeah, it feels like a mosquito to me.
Yeah, that's a really I
mean, but
all the description does kind of fit that.
Which is it's not that much of a stretch for this to be mosquito like, but I can tell that it's the same design in each stage, which is good. I'm not entirely sure. Like, see, the thing that I'm wondering, I didn't get it from. Maybe I did get it and I wasn't paying attention enough. But the like little body in the first part, like there's like a little bit of legs hanging from its body, and I was like, is it like sucking up people and stuff? Or is it implied that the storm is like killing everything and then it's just eating all the debris?
I just thought those were little like arms. Like T-Rex arms.
Are they?
That's what I thought.
Because then in the last one, on the chest, there's like a skull with arms and stuff in the center of the chest.
A symbol of combat. Because it's like it's
you can't
armor.
say that's a symbol of combat.
It's designed primarily for combat.
How dare
it's
you.
being refitted with armor. Duh.
But no,
that's what I think it is. I mean, that's how I'd read it. I don't understand the line. I know it's maybe not like completely finished, but the line straight out from that, if that's going to be, I don't know, more like a beak, that black line.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be like the hummingbird thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like what makes it hummingbird like. Yeah, it's cool. I think that you should you should be proud. You did it. You jumped into the first challenge. You made a solid prompt. You followed all the things that we laid out, and it was a success.
And as soon as you would
now
get
you need to do more.
Those colors to all be the same. Like I see that you started obviously with the first one, because it's like more finished. But like that like peachy color, once that was like, if that was carried through, that would also like drive that point home of like,
Well, I think like what I would have done if this were my thing is like since that first base evolution has that kind of thick hose in the front for like a nose, I would have used that to kind of bring over into the next one, because in the immediate next one, the whole body kind of changes. I would have kept the legs, since that's a constant. I would have kept that beak being an in-between to the final more like hardened armature looking beak. But I would have kept those things consistent throughout. But other than that, solid. Keep going. Join us in the next challenge. Actually, the next challenge, I'll talk about it briefly at the end of this because the video is incoming. But yeah, there's another one's going to be announced tonight. You won't even be able to start it right away because you need something from me in order to do it.
I was a little confused because Michael's in the chat saying, like, the roasts are welcome. But I was like, this is from Dan Backslide. Not from Michael. What are you talking about?
He's just, hiding in plain sight. Max, hey, the next entry's from Max Swinton. What's up, Max? I haven't seen your name in a million years.
What's up, Max?
Max used to be around, when I was regular in the forums. Max did these really cool, like, photo real renders and things of, like, spooky, like, kids' book stuff.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was pretty cool. Max is great. So, Max Swinton says, hello. All of these are so good. Good job, everyone. Here's mine. Didn't get it finished, but there's enough there to see the idea, I think, /hope. Also, including the concepts I did before the final. The idea is based on the Lambton worm myth, essentially a story about a boy catching a worm thing in a river, throwing it in a well, where it grows and grows before going on to terrorize peasants and drink cow's milk, apparently.
That's such a specific. I like that little.
Oh, nice. So it starts out as that like little, tiny little fish thing there with the eye.
It's cute looking.
And then the second one's spooky. It's got a little mouth.
The second one's still cute.
Yeah, it's still a little
Quite
cute.
honest.
I mean, honestly, the last one's, it's not too bad. It's not too,
I mean,
it's not cute.
it's not cute, but it's scary if I saw something like that, especially like if it kept growing. Is this done in traditional?
No, I don't think so. But he was always so good at that stuff.
What in the world?
Of like branching the two spaces.
Because it looks like, really? It looks like there's pencil lines on here.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe it's a mix. He used to do all kinds of weird like crayon things.
And it looks
stuff.
like there's paint. Like, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I always appreciate Max's work because it feels so different. Like it always feels weird and cool. I've always loved that. But these are really, this is a neat way to like sell it too. Like just having them all be together like this.
Yeah.
In a composition of their own.
I was going to just say, like, I really like the variations that he provided too, with like this angle, this like different set of teeth, like this kind of different nose, this like different set of brows.
The
cool.
only thing I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
Max, is that you have one big tangent, and that's the tail end of the baby is touching the edge of the final evolution.
The Big Daddy.
Yeah, so it's kind of getting lost in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to break that edge just to feel a little bit more satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it looks great. Spooky.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Cool. I'm looking at your... Man, these are
Are you
really
looking at
cool.
all the different like angles and stuff, and then the...
I love how you started to render these out.
Yeah.
That looks great. I don't know what you're using to render that, but
Like this one?
no, I was looking at the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you're getting a lot of volume out of this.
Mm-hmm.
The way you're wrapping the forms, it looks super solid.
It really does look like a penis, though.
Yeah, but that's kind of something
That
you
first
don't
one.
want to avoid.
Well, I mean, it's more the color choice in addition to the shape. Like, it's like I get that it's like, I mean, it's gonna be phallic shaped anyway. It's a worm, right?
Yeah.
But then he chose flesh tone,
Which is hilarious.
so we're just like driving that point home.
But God, that second one's so cool. That second head with the multiple layers of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I love all of these, Max. These are great.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen your work in so long. I'm looking at the other one too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, great.
I like this one where like the face is kind of stubby
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like he's doing this like a double chin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how much character you got into the face.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and weird. It's very distinct. Yeah, these are cool, Max. I didn't know you were here. Hey, what's up?
Is he in the chat?
No, I was just saying I didn't know you were like
Oh.
here on Discord with us.
Okay.
It's great.
Yeah, awesome. Next one is from Tomes for the Gnome God. Last minute post. Hey, Dave and Kim, longtime lurker here, decided that since it's 2 days till my birthday, happy belated birthday,
Happy.
it's time to crack open some boys with the cold ones. This is my evolution.
Crack open some boys with the cold ones.
That's what it says.
Okay, good.
This is my evolution challenge based around old school Lovecraftian monsters. I named them Twogs. I wanted... I feel like people just name them ridiculous things to get me to read it.
Twogs.
I wanted to go for a prehistoric reptilian, amphibian, humanoid look, and looked at ancient animals like
Dime-a-dozens.
Dimetrodon.
Uh,
Admittedly, I'd like to get it to a much more rendered finished state. So if you have any tips for that, thanks. Phase 1, a simple little pond swimmer / bug catcher.
love
Phase
that one.
2, hunter-gatherer using simple tools. Phase 3, large mound guardian clearing the runts from its litter.
I really like
Aw.
this. Like, I think you did a really great job designing these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I love the proportions of them. I love the super long arms and the little legs.
It's terrifying. It's really cool.
Like, I could totally see, like, rendered, like, the same proportions, just rendered in a more realistic fashion at maintaining the horror kind of elements you have.
Mm-hmm.
This could totally live in, like, a Souls game. Like one of those sort of, you know, over textured creepy dudes like lurking around a swamp in the mist. Like it looks terrifying.
I think as is now, it feels kind of like the same type of creepy that like some of the Ghibli characters have, where they're like
Right.
kind of recognizable, but not really.
Yeah, they're not quite like cute.
Uh-huh.
They're a little bit gross.
Yeah, just like a little bit. It's really cool. Especially, I just spit, sorry. Especially the one with like the really long arms, like the biggest one.
Yeah, biggest one. I love that. I like the biggest one and I like the baby.
I like the middle one too.
I like the middle one too. I just think that it's more obvious that it's just a small version of the big one.
Oh, I see what you
The
mean.
evolution isn't as distinct. Like I would have done maybe still kind of on 4 legs or something like that, but just like a different shape.
But
like
with, like-
maybe showing the arms are getting longer in like a certain pose.
Bigger belly.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
just still awkward, like still kind of figuring it out. Like maybe not a super distinct neck yet. Just
Yeah.
just a mid transformation because it just feels like a small version of the big one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really it, because otherwise the jump from that baby up to the big guy, I really like that a lot.
I like that the baby's smiling.
Yeah.
So cute.
And as far as like they wanted advice on rendering, right? I think that you were doing a pretty good job on the little baby there. I know that you didn't. I mean, at least from looking at this, it seems like you didn't go as far with the other ones. Yeah, I mean, I think you have like, judging by the lighting that you've set up, you've done a pretty good job holding to that. I would say because these guys are very wet, you know, they're going to have a lot of specular lights on them. So a lot of hot kind of highlights. You know, if you ever see, you know, like even your own skin, it's like if you get your skin wet and then put it under a light, you'll see like these highlights all along wherever the, you know, whatever angle your hand is facing the light, you're going to see a lot of highlights. And if you've ever held like a frog or seen a frog, it's like
Never.
kind of gleaming. Like there's a lot of spots all over it that have that are lit up, you know, from sunlight, whatever. So like I would do something like that. I would make them real slimy looking, and that would sell the creepiness even more. And, you know, like don't be afraid to go pretty sharp with the highlights.
I also think it's funny that like the medium one has like, you know, basic tools, but then the big one is just like reverts back to just like eating something, like even though it has a knife in its hand.
I thought that, like, I didn't realize the middle one was eating a squirrel. I thought that was like a piece of fried chicken or something. The first time I saw that.
It's like a dino nugget, but it's a squirrel shaped one.
Yeah, exactly, like a nugget. But that's really funny that he's eating a squirrel.
And I would make those lips more obviously like blood, because it just looks like lipstick since the squirrel isn't bleeding.
You know what I didn't realize? I mean, did you just say this, that he's eating the baby? Yeah.
Yeah, he said that he
Yeah.
is thinning out the pack. I don't
I
know what
wasn't
he said.
paying attention when I heard that,
He's like eating the like weak ones.
but I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It makes them even worse. That's great. Yeah, really good challenge entry. I love the colors. Yeah, good job.
Yeah. Next one is from I Tell Them I'm Busy. Oh man, I swear I will start one of these with enough time to actually finish it. Was aiming for an homage of sort to Golden Era cartoons
I see that.
and anime. A mashup of Gotcha Man, Johnny Quest, and Speed Racer. Maybe a little Space Dandy in there too. Only the oldest figure has first pass at render.
Okay. I really like your baby, though.
I love the baby.
Okay, so you did something with the baby that you didn't do with the other two. Well, you kind of did it with the middle one. Like, the baby has such a character to it. Like, you did the really solid hair silhouette, those stylistic eyebrows, a really expressive face, nice cartoony eyes. And then I think you lose that style in the other two. You went more realistic with the other two.
Right,
and
yeah.
I think that hurts those two. Because that baby is really strong. The way that
His
you
tiny
simplified the
little mittens.
head and everything. Yeah, and the little mittens. It's
Those
like,
little boots.
yeah, like that baby to me is your winner in this group. The other two need to rise to the level of that baby drawing. Because that baby is very simplified and it looks good. Like, it looks solid. And the other two are kind of living between styles. And I'm really only going in on this because I really like that baby.
Yeah.
And I think that you did a good job. So it's like when you have something like that kind of character that's popping like that and it has a nice silhouette and it's exaggerated too. Like, that baby's ankles and the arms and the legs and the chest area, like, and the head size, it's all very cartoony and exaggerated a lot.
I mean, it makes sense too, though, because like babies' heads are freaking huge.
Yeah. But in the other two characters, you don't do that. You don't push anatomy in a weird way.
Yeah.
It leans more real. So it looks like there's a cartoon baby hanging out with two real guys. But
Well, it looks like the teenager in the back is taking a shit.
yeah, but in a perfect world, these would all live in that same style.
Yeah.
And I think that would fulfill your initial thing of saying, like, this is based on
The
Speed
homage to
Racer
that,
and
yeah.
Golden Age cartoons and whatnot. Because, yeah, you definitely nailed one of them. And it's not like the design ideas in the other two are poor. It's just the style, execution that I would change.
That's a good point. Asea Spade said it kind of reads as a family to me instead of an evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does, because like none of their outfits are the same either.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
it
if
kind of
you're
just feels like they're
a team.
yeah.
Yeah, like if I were to, if I'm basing it off of an evolution, then yes, change each character into a similar kind of design.
Like uniform.
Like keep the helmet, the fish bulb, and do, keep that hairstyle going throughout into like a Superman thing by the end.
Yeah.
And keep each element of the design on the chest and whatnot. Everything that makes your initial design distinct should carry over in some way and be translatable into the last outfit. And you should be able to tell. That's true. It doesn't read as an evolution. It reads as just a family unit going on adventures.
With their dad.
But God, that baby.
It's very cute.
Thank you.
I'd be really interested to see like what this would look like with color too. Riley Easter says, got real busy, so I clearly ran out of time, but still had fun. Wanted to show a character's career through some fantasy World War I ESC military. What is that? Would really love to keep working on this and turn it into a good portfolio piece. Any tips on what would make this look good in a concept portfolio, like things to add? Thanks, ballers. Stop calling me a baller.
I think it's really cool. If I have any critiques, I think your first one on the left is the most solid.
I really like that one.
I think the last one is way more obvious than the first one. The last one feels like I've seen it before in some sense. Like, it's a general uniform. It doesn't have the nice distinct design thing that the first one does. The first one has that, like, I get what you're doing where you have the mask that goes across here. The second one has a similar thing, but it's like a red. And then the last one has a scar. But the scar doesn't repeat the design the same way.
The scar is just from the mask wearing on her face, and she just got tired of wearing it,
Like
so
COVID,
she took it off.
like nurses in COVID.
Yes, let me tell you.
No.
She's just like, this mask gave me a scar, so now I can't wear it anymore because it's just not comfortable.
Yeah, I don't think that last design with the X is as good as that first design. And I think because that's supposed to be the end career of the evolution, it needs to be cooler than the first one. Like, it needs to feel like if you're playing a game, right, and you're ranking up your character, you want there to be that sense of satisfaction that you leveled up. Mm-hmm. And the level up should show in each one of the, consecutive parts of the ranks or whatever.
Yeah, I felt like the last one kind of like lost some of her decoration. Mm-hmm. Like, she doesn't have some sort of decorative knee pads. I really like that really exaggerated point on like the coat.
Yeah,
in the front on both like 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it's a little less on the last one.
Yeah, it's a little bit more like straight across. And then she doesn't have any knee pads, maybe because she's ranked up, so she doesn't have to suck anyone anymore. But
what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. I think I'm dying.
Yeah, I think
But I do think that the first two have like more decorative pieces on it, on them, and I feel like it works like really well for their design.
Certain things that don't carry over, just to get right to it, the gold on the head, the gold on the chest, the gold on the last one in the legs is kind of random if you're going for consecutive. The white pants is like a new element that isn't in either of the previous ones. Mm-hmm. And then some of the patterns that, well, I'd say the patterns change a little bit on each one. Mm-hmm. So I would try to keep some of those consistent in, carrying over one to the next. And same with the colors, like find a way to bring most of the colors together. Mm-hmm. I think your rendering on the first one is the most solid. The other ones are like if I'm jumping from that one on the left to the middle, I think the one on the left has a lot more atmosphere to it. It feels like it has a lot more like blending and softness to it. The one in the middle feels more rushed than that one. And then the last one feels like the face doesn't have nearly as much attention as the rest.
Well, and like, to talk about the first one to the last one too, like I really like the first one's face. I just like zoomed in. Mm-hmm. And I like the eyes a lot. Even for having like a mask and a hat on, I feel like it's very expressive and very feminine. Like it reads feminine even without like a super curvy body or long hair. And I feel like that wasn't carried over into the last one. Like the eyes,
yeah, it does feel
aren't feminine, and then the haircut isn't feminine, which
it doesn't feel like the same character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a couple things that I would say. Yeah. And then you kind of gotta figure out what you're gonna do with the style. If you're going to, let's say you want to like put this in your portfolio, the heavy black lines. You could be. This is just a personal suggestion, but I would say you could be more selective with that because the black lines creates like a very stark kind of image, especially in like the eyes and stuff. You could lighten that line. Like if I went into Photoshop and I just targeted blacks within this image, I could just raise that value up a little bit so it blends a bit better with the overall piece. So it doesn't feel like it's this like super outline. Deep shadow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Hace Espadeses.
Right. Riley's in the chat and said that is what I was going for. So I'm guessing he was talking about the knee pads.
Yes. He says, all right, I'm out of time. Definitely want to do more with the rendering here, but I hope the idea comes across. The character is inspired by the Front Mission series. I tried to show the pilot evolving over time from a young, reckless rookie to an old experienced veteran, and his mech upgraded from a recon unit to an assault class to a long-range sniper artillery. Any critiques are much appreciated. I think this is great. Like, I like your presentation a lot. Like, I love the little headshot. Like, I can totally see this in a front mission style game. Let me just go through each one.
I like that. I like that you did a lot with just changing facial features and hair. It's so subtle, and it's such a good. It gets across what you're doing, like, completely. Like, a little bit more furrowed of a brow. Every time he gets a little bit older, his hair and his beard grows in more and more, and his hair is so long now that he can use his ripped bandana to, like, tie it back.
I also like that it's effective. You know, it might seem simple and obvious if you've played video games, like where something like this happens. But it's a really good job, specifically in a game like this that's talking about, like, war, to show that progression in, here's this, like, young kid, he's all excited, he's kind of, like, got a ton of energy to him, and then he goes through battle, he's wounded, he's looking less like he's thrilled to go into battle, but he's still got some, you know, like, that fight feeling.
Yeah.
And then the last one is like a dude who's just been through shit, and he's just kind of older and looking off in the distance like, fuck,
I don't give a shit anymore.
yeah, like, he's just dead inside. Like, I like that read. I like that you told us.
No, but he's not even, like, super angry. He's just like,
yeah, he's just in it. Like, I like that little story stuff. It's very effective to do something like that, and it tells a lot without saying anything. Like, I can look at that and instantly read what's happening in this. Like, it makes sense to me.
I like that the mech holds the same shape,
Yeah.
like, throughout the entire thing, but it was obviously upgraded.
I also gotta say, your mech drawing is so clean.
Really, really nice.
I don't know if you had, like, a base for this, if you modeled something and then drew on top of it. I'm not saying you had to, but I'm just saying it's so accurate.
Like, the perspective
that it feels
of everything,
good.
like, every piece.
Yeah, like, I don't think, like, I'm not, like, if you did do that, it's not a bad thing. I think the final outcome of that looks really cool. Yeah, great. I love the front mission games. I played the old one on the Super Nintendo back when I was, like, a kid.
I like that he has, like, the scars from his injury too.
Yeah. I also like that the final one, the final evolution of the mech, clearly feels like the final evolution of that mech.
Like, he is maxed out.
Yeah, I like that you repeated the red dots in the
Center.
the center of, well, you have, like, the red dots on the helmet and on the mech, and then you have it on the visor thing that the dude wears.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
That's smart.
Anytime you can repeat those design elements. I mean, I'm going to be, just because I like this a lot, I'm going to be slightly critical on you. Watch out for that blood. Just reference blood. It's that thing that it's going to be a meme on this Patreon. Google blood on a face. I mean, specifically,
that looks a little bit like ketchup.
Exactly. It's the thing of, like, blood reads pretty dark, especially if you have darker skin. Like, it's going to read, like, dark with highlights.
Well, yeah, it's going to pick up of the color underneath too.
Right. So just reference that stuff, because you're putting in so much work on everything that you owe it to yourself to not have an easy fix like that be something that hurts your piece. It's not worth it. Just put in a little bit more and make sure stuff like that reads right, because it'll do a disservice to the other, you know, because I think my favorite of your whole thing is your first portrait and your final mech. Those are the best. That has, like,
I agree.
Those styles are the most solid. I think you really nailed the style in that first image, and it would be great if that carried over through to the end.
I agree. Not just because I'm agreeing with you, but I agree.
There's it.
I have the same opinion.
Asayas says, but Dave, I couldn't find any blood reference. I looked.
Excuse me.
We're back. We're back. I know it.
We don't
Me
call you
either.
Ase Espadez for nothing, okay? He said that the perspective is actually way off on that last,
Okay.
or on the next or whatever.
Doesn't matter. You still did good.
Yeah.
And
I mean, really, if I want to be really picky, the only one that I feel like is a little bit off is the eyeball, his left eye on the last portrait. It's throwing me off just a tiny bit.
I see that.
Sorry, I just needed to roast you a little bit.
Yeah, she needed to get in a jab
I just had to.
before the end.
It was too good. I started off with like, I really like this. Okay, so the next one is from Lorian. What?
Nothing.
Oh, I think you're giggling over there. I could just hear it in my sleep, I guess.
How dare you.
Lorian says, I really wanted to add a fourth form of her on a throne, encased in a gem tomb, but still going. So basically, this is an idea for a game where levels and items are randomly placed, and if this enemy is placed near a gem, they have a chance to walk into it and pick it up, powering them up, heavily inspired by Spelunky. I don't know what Spelunky is.
It's a game where you spelunk.
Okay, let's see. She has one around her neck, and then she's reaching for a gem.
She clicks the first one. Just kind of creepy. It's got some bony ass fingers.
Yeah, and she has like tattered clothes.
And then the last one is like this. I think my immediate thing is that second one needs to have more of a distinction from the first one, because that last one's wild.
Like the transition from the second to the last one.
Yeah, the last one's like all of a
Like,
sudden like a monster
Yeah.
with like gems all over its head. That's pretty funny. It's cool.
Yeah. I've never heard of this game. It seems interesting.
Yeah, I like so I would do the first one and then find like an exaggerated form for the second one, and then for the like with like a gem first protruding from the head or something like that, like one gem showing what that kind of power does to the overall transformation. Like, what does that corruption do of the gem or whatever is happening to her or it? It's really, that's a really cool idea to be like going around and collecting, like, like be having to go and get the thing before it does, because it's going to transform. I never played Spelunky either, but I imagine that that's probably a really fun thing to try and beat something to something. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of information to go off of because this is still like just drawing phase, but just some simple like colors like you have in the gems, like for the rest, just to distinguish from the background, would help a lot in selling just the silhouette.
Yeah.
Like if this is on, like if the drawing is on its own layer, just make sure that it's separated from the rest so that we clearly know and is affected in some way by like the lighting that the gems are affected by, just so like we can clearly see what's going on. And in that way, it will allow you more opportunities to create little creases and wrinkles and things depending on the lighting and all that, just so we can see it. Because I would be curious how things are meant to be rendered on the face there, because there's no values other than just like the eyes. Like, is it white hair and then like a black face and white eyes? Like something like that where it pops off one another. Like anything like that adds contrast to your stuff is going to help really sell it. Because if you're going for that, it's like a spirit kind of thing, and the only thing you'll see is the gems, then I would do it on a dark background and show that, yes, this thing's just like transparent. I didn't use black line. I used like a blue line, and I used a white silhouette for the fill of the ghost. Like that sort of thing will convey the feeling you're going for probably more successfully. And it'll just be, you can still keep this similar approach with just doing lines, because you're probably looking at whatever you're influenced by and being like, oh, there are no lines on this. How would I do this? It's just a glowing form. How do I make that look like that? But yeah, just for the future, I would just do something like that so that we can better go over it and give you real feedback
Yes.
on it. But yeah, the idea is cool though. Thank you. The next one is from Ian, 2800. It says Rise of the Muffin Man. It says from left to right. It's Lil Muff, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and Mega Muffin.
Little muff. Uh-oh. This is one of my favorite ones. I commented and I was like, I want your Instagram because I just want to like see what this person does on like a regular basis because I love these. And I liked the freaking hamster that they did too.
Yeah, the hamster was the F-Zero challenge. Hamster was really good.
This is such a good idea.
I really love, okay, so you're doing something great with your, again, I'm glossing over ideas right now, and I'm just talking about your execution. You're doing something really great with the textures on that last one. I love the clear distinction between textures.
Of like the muffin top.
Yeah,
and
the muffin top
part.
feels like a muffin. It has the texture, like the granular texture of a muffin. And then you have the tin that the muffin sits in. And that's clearly a tin, like muffin cup thing. Like it reads that way to me. It reads that way in each piece. I mean, in each character. And then the legs feel clearly like robotic steel metal legs with like little gears and, rivet things and whatever inside of it. I love that. I think you did a solid job.
Like the first one looks less golden because it looks like a batter, which is like, that's a funny little detail. But yeah, it looks more like, like paled because it's not been baked yet.
Yeah, and your lighting is very good. You're crushing that. But let me just get to the concept. The concept of the batter, the muffin with the mixer, and the mixing arms, and then the final giant buff with the oven mitts.
Yeah, that's so
and
funny.
Metal legs, like it feels so cool. I totally like. This is kind of like you can tell Ian does stuff. Like Ian's probably working.
Yes, obviously.
So, maybe it becomes more natural for somebody like that to think like this.
Yeah.
But this is kind of what I was saying is like, this feels, if you're playing a game, that's your starting character. That if you're playing this unit, let's call it like a tactical game, and this is one of your units and you evolve it. That's a starting unit. That little soldier tin hat, muffin tin thing, and then, you have the batter and the spoon. Like that feels like the start of something. Just not only is it small, cute, and has places to go.
I love cute shit too.
But it's also the start because it's batter. So it has like multiple things coming off it.
Ian's in the chat and says, "Rise because it's a muffin."
Yes. Yes.
I wanted to live in the silence for a little bit. Yeah, I love this one.
The second one, it feels like the cool thing about this is that the second one feels really cool, and the third one feels cool. But I know that if I were playing this game, I wouldn't be bummed to go from the second one to the third one. It feels like just as cool, but different. So it's nice. I don't have a ton to say other than that. I just think you really knocked this one out. I would be, I would just say this. If I were hiring out for a concept art job, these are the types of things that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking for this.
You can see their thought process through this.
Yeah, like
it's very clear.
It's creative. It's fun.
You would never have to question it. You would never have to be like, what is the backstory behind this? Or, I mean, I know that some people are writing it and it does help, but like, this is like, you don't have to question it.
Speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. Really strong.
Yeah.
If you have an Instagram, drop it because I'm sure other people want to follow you too if they aren't already.
It's fun idea. This next one's from Oronora. You can read.
Bird feeders. I really struggled. It had an exclamation, so I read it. I felt it should be read. I really struggled with the design and colors, but I think the idea of increasingly complex bird feeders was a fun twist on this challenge. Please critique. How can I improve the concept and presentation at this level of finish? I'm giggling because it's so wholesome and cute that you were like, I hear this challenge and I'm gonna do bird feeders, and like it's a good idea. Like,
Yeah, I really like this one.
mm-hmm.
I think, God, I have one critique.
Mm-hmm.
My critique is that the third one doesn't have enough holding it to the tree branch,
Yeah.
and it's not on a tough enough branch.
Yeah, for that much weight.
Yeah, like that's my main thing, is that it goes from a hook in the first one to a little, I don't know what you'd call that, little like strap in the second
A
one,
string back to a hook.
and then back to a hook in the last one. And I'm like,
Where it's like
it doesn't
super
need a hook.
complex.
It needs a chain.
Yeah, it needs
needs
more
something.
reinforcement and a stronger branch.
Yeah. It's like that. That's the only thing I have to really say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to commend you for doing something so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you just were like what Kim said, I'm going to do a bird feeder.
So different. Like the fact that your mind, like I always wonder, because I feel like, everyone wants to think like, oh, like nobody else is thinking this. And then they'll do an idea and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so similar, or so many people have very similar ideas. Like this is completely left field in a very good way, because nobody like took this and ran this way. Like the way you think and whatever's influencing you to think that way, keep that up in your work, because it will definitely help you stand out.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you need things that make you different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the fact that your mind went here is so cool.
It's like, it's funny, but also like very ingenious. I mean, they go on to comment, like he's commenting on, or Nora's commenting on their own art piece, saying like the perspective is off and there's a couple things that they could have worked on and everything. But yeah, I mean, maybe even just like adding some birds just to really sell, it's a bird feeder. It's not just some like decorative chime or something that's hanging from a tree.
You know what this makes me think of? And this is just a random thought that I just had. It's because I'm thinking in terms of how a lot of people are doing video game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this game. Have you ever heard of Pokemon Snap?
Mm-mm.
It's like you go around and you take pictures of like rare Pokemon. You're a photographer.
Oh,
and then you
yeah,
kind of
okay.
ride a
I think
rail.
you've told me about this one before.
Yeah. So I was just thinking like, this is a cool idea for like a bird watching game. If you had to, like almost like a simulation game where you had to build out more exotic bird feeder stuff in order to attract wilder birds to get good pictures of.
Mm-hmm.
And like you had to get pictures of them like feeding, and you could attract like really crazy, like super exaggerated Pokemon style birds by the end.
Mm-hmm.
And get like, amazing photography of, nuts designs instead of like really simple birds that you start out with in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a fun mini game where you customize out fancy bird feeders.
That would be, I mean, like, there's a game that, this is so dumb. There's a game that was advertised to me about, like, organizing drawers and stuff. So, like, that's a game that exists. Of course, that would be, like, a really cool game to, like, get, more extensive bird feeders, because people actually watch birds.
Oh, I could totally, like, I know that sounds maybe dumb, but I could totally see that game existing.
Yeah. I
for
mean,
some reason.
There's, what are those other ones, like Brain Age? Those ones where you do like math problems. That's a game.
Right.
Like, of course, there's gonna be people who like that or didn't know that they wanted it.
The last one is from
Louise
Prado.
Mm-hmm.
Hey folks, unfortunately I won't have the time to color it, but I had a lot of fun sketching my idea for this challenge. I love what I saw from you guys so far. It's interesting how we spot things immediately after sharing it, right? I noticed the lines could use more contrast, so he updated it. Let's look at the update. I mean, Gamma Hound and then Cerberus Alpha,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't finish it. Where it's at right now, though,
It's really
you got
cool.
a really cool pencil drawing aesthetic going on here. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
that's digital pencil, but it looks great. I love your contour lines on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before I even get into concept, I love that. It's and you have a really solid structure to the creatures. You
Yeah,
know?
like the fact that you did that the second one with like the head facing in 3 different directions, so you did 3 different perspectives of this dog head that all seem accurate. I feel like that's so challenging.
Mm-hmm. You also did the thing where you had the arms kind of hanging down from the, you know, multiple dogs all combined together.
It makes it like super creepy.
That reminds me of what's his face from Bloodborne. The guy I painted on Ludwig. Is that his name? I think it's Ludwig. But yeah, trying to draw that mess of legs because he has like a bunch of like horse legs sticking out of his body was so brutal. So I know the challenge of having to figure out how you're going to combine legs into a body. But yeah, it's really great. And your choice of pose too is solid. I like that you have these nice depth opportunities with how you're posing this in like a 3/4 view facing us, not like a side view of the dog or something flat. You're doing like a challenging angle on the character.
I feel like, I mean, just to go off that like dangling arm too, he did a really good job of not losing it with all the lines and stuff on that body.
Yeah, I would love to see this colored.
Mm-hmm. And mean, also whatever the third one would be if this is only the second one.
Yeah.
Or if there's one in between.
Yeah, it reminds me of this artist. God, what's your name? Justin Gerard, I want to say. The way that he displays his pencil drawings, I always liked that style. So this feels like that. I like it a lot. Yeah, I would love to see it colored. I want to see how you texture this. And if you do Justin's technique, which I kind of feel like, yeah, I could be wrong. It's not like nobody's ever put textured paper behind a pencil drawing. But if you are influenced by that, I would love to see that execution of this.
Yeah.
But cool. I mean, the evolution's clear. You know, there's nothing that's making you think like, oh my God, that dog turned into a bat or something like that. It's like,
yeah.
And I get it. Mm-hmm. I just want to see the final now. Solid drawing though. Yeah.
So great. I'm looking at some of the comments on it too, and somebody was asking like, did you reference the anatomy of the dog? Because like it is really, it's awesome. And he said, yeah, he looked at his own dogs. He has a hound and a Labrador. But I mean, still, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, great job. So many good entries in this.
I can't believe that's the end of it. I feel like this one was one that was like lots of first-time entry people and so much participation. Like we really appreciate every time. It feels like we've done, 3 of these now?
3 of these, and we're moving on to the 4th one now.
The 4th one, and...
Right? This is the 4th one, isn't it? Yes, it is. Because the last one was Bloody Roar, and the one before that was F-Zero, and then this was Evolution.
Yeah.
The next one is going to be pretty wild. You can't start it yet. You can start coming up with ideas, I guess, but you're going to need something that I've made. So I actually have the file. I don't have it loaded right now. I actually have my external unplugged, so I can't even look at it. But I'll tell you. So we're going to do a community challenge where everybody participates on the same prompt as usual, but it's more collaborative because what you're going to be doing is a robot. You're going to have a PSD file that I'm giving you. I'm going to give you a very big resolution one, a medium, and the size that we're going to be displaying for everybody. So if you get the medium or the large, you got to shrink yours down to that bottom size, which I'll leave instructions within the PSD. So what it is a silhouette of a robot action figure form that's dead on perspective. It's going to have the option to remove the head, the arms, and the legs from the waist. So what we're planning in the chest, obviously, they're all separate things. So you will render your character. It can be one whole theme. It can be a bunch of weird stuff together.
You do multiple.
As long as they connect at the seams that we're cutting in the PSD. Because the idea is that in the final, we're all going to submit our PSDs with the layers separated, also with a JPEG of the final. And then we're going to be able to download each other's PSDs and plug in whatever body parts you want from everybody else's things so that we can create a whole bunch of weird, cool action figure robot dudes.
Yes. So it's, you take your Barbie head and you put it on your G.I. Joe. And we're unofficially calling this channel, this challenge, Mr. Robot Head.
Yeah, we're going to do...
So, very Mr. Potato Head-esque.
Yeah, we're gonna have it be just this whole collaborative thing where at the end, once we have all the entries, we can just make a bunch of examples of how crazy it is. We're all gonna follow similar lighting, but you can do things like add glows within body parts. Like if you want to do like a whole Diablo demon that's like within a space, or you want to do something super sci-fi that has tentacle legs, if you want to do something with big old wings. If you're like, I'm gonna go all out and add accessories to this.
Yeah.
So mine has all of the body parts, the head, the chest, the arms, the legs, they're all separate. And I also included a big old sword that's going in the back, or
mine has a spatula for a hand, or a fork because I'm always eating.
Right. If you want to give it like little kind of like toy things that it can hold in hands and whatever, or wear on the face that you can put on other people's things, then you can do that too. But yeah, I think this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, so we'll have an official video out announcing the challenge so that this isn't the only avenue that people are seeing this. And then we will update our channels, which really all we're doing is changing the name. We want to keep all of the history of the channels as far as like the challenges go, because people like looking back, especially for our new Patreon members who join. So we'll just be changing the names eventually, and that's where we'll be posting our whips and then our finals, and then eventually we'll have a schedule out too so that you guys can see when Dave is doing any of his draw along for this challenge, and then also the stream where we will be reviewing all of the submissions.
Yeah, this one's going to be a lot of fun, I promise. I'm just really hopeful that a lot of you will participate in this one, because I think that if we get enough entries, we'll be able to just kind of do whatever. So I have a few examples
are
too.
Pretty good together too, like from what we've seen, like and I think there's enough variation too that it'll be really interesting.
So yeah, we will talk to you all soon. Thanks as always for participating in these challenges. It's amazing to see the output.
Yes.
And I couldn't be more excited with how the Patreon's been going, with participation and just seeing the community grow. I mean, from the start of the Patreon, I never thought we'd have like community necessarily, and I never knew anything about Discord really. But this is filling that forum-sized hole that I had in my heart from when I was younger. It's like all of a sudden we have all these people and everybody's doing stuff. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yes, so you will start as soon as the PSD is available, which will be available when the official announcement is available too, posted.
All right.
So thanks everybody.
Have a good day, good night, and we'll see you soon.